Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Take just a few seconds to get yourself settled and we will be getting going. So, of course, first off, I want to welcome all of you to our exclusive webinar today, GetResponse Marketing Automation Explained. You are going to see a full tour of how GetResponse Marketing Automation can work for you and get a total recap and lots of helpful information to help you guys get started with that. A couple of housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded, and we will be sure to send all of you guys a copy of the recording, hopefully on Monday. So just keep an eye out for that on Monday, and you can watch this webinar again and again to make sure you can, garner everything you need from it. We're also going to have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So we're going to work to answer all of your questions that you have for us about automation. Of course, you're free to ask some questions during the webinar and the presentation, but I guess probably you'll have a lot of questions for us at the end, so don't worry about that as well. And so let's see who you're going to have with you today. Our first presenter is going to be my great friend Magda, who is a GetResponse marketing strategist. So she's going to tell you all about the nuts and bolts of automation itself, marketing automation, and then what you can expect from GetResponse marketing automation specifically. And then you're going to have me. I'm Abby, the GetResponse community manager, and I'm going to show you live in a GetResponse account what it looks like to build some example workflows. That way you'll have some good examples of how you might use marketing automation and how you'll actually create it within the account itself. We also want to let you guys know that we have a dedicated hashtag on Twitter for this webinar and for the product of GetResponse marketing automation itself. So I do invite you guys to please tweet about the webinar either during or after it, and that we can get some good conversations going about what you guys think about the webinar, about GetResponse marketing automation and all of that. So don't forget to use that hashtag. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and pass it on to Magda, and she can get you guys learning all about automation.
Thank you, Abby, and hello, everyone. First of all, let me start off with some most common marketing automation myths. As we all know, marketing automation has been around for quite a while, and a lot of companies have been adapting it, and it's becoming more and more commonly used. However, some of the greatest myths of automation still remain. Well, first of them is the myth that automation is only for the big companies. In the past, it was a very expensive solution that required a lot of work because there was no one single platform for the companies to actually use. And a lot of businesses still think that this is still being the case. Well, obviously, we all know the madmen of advertising, and we know it all gurus of marketing. Well, in the past, people thought that only the knowledgeable guys with years of experience could actually start with automation initiatives. Well, not true. With today's technology and how it's advanced, any business can really start creating that marketing automation. And obviously, depending on your individual goals, your initiatives can either be very small and simple or complex, depending on how comfortable you feel with online marketing. Despite the fact that automation has become widely, available, it's still not the set it and forget it. So it's not enough to get a platform, buy a tool, set up some, messages and get them going. It's very important that when setting up automation, we think about our goals, our individual objectives, and we think how automation can help us meet them. So starting with an idea and then trying to see how, based on the results, all our ideas can evolve and measure the results, optimize it, because only then we can achieve really great results. Well, this one's my favorite. A lot of people think that automation is like a robot, that it's impersonal. Well, I say marketing automation is very personal. And to be honest, I truly believe that marketing automation is the only way for businesses to actually be able to create a true one-to-one dialogue with their audience. The last one, the most common one, is that marketing automation is about email. We're feeling comfortable with email marketing. We know it. We've been there forever. But we need to remember that for the best results, marketing automation should be used in integration with your other online marketing channels. So whether you have landing pages, sign-up pages, whatever it is that you do, try to think about all those channels as one integrated online channel and use automation to actually integrate them and be a hub for all your activities. Now, let's look at some numbers. Well, marketing automation has become sort of a fashion. So when surveyed, a lot of companies just say that marketing automation is very important to their overall marketing strategy. Also, over almost 80% of top performing companies have already been using marketing automation for over 2 years. And to make pressure even greater, a lot of, we see that pretty much, 70% of all the businesses have been using some sort of a marketing automation platform. And this is a lot, and it's showing that, to stay ahead of game, we need to start adapting that technology to our own businesses. Unfortunately, because the adaptation and technology has been so widely available, marketers jumping on the bandwagon see that they don't using it to its full potential. Also, very few marketers, only 17% of marketers see and say that marketing automation has been very beneficial to their company. And a very little number of marketers can actually see clear increase in the revenues within the 6 months of adopting the automation. And those statistics, are not great. So, we need to think about why is that? Why, despite the fact that we all want automation, that we all need automation, so many marketing initiatives simply fail? Well, we've looked at a number of research available in the market, and we've tried to identify some key barriers for marketers not to be adapting technology or not succeeding in their market automation. And today I'm going to mention just a few. First is obviously the complexity of the system. A lot of platforms for marketing automation that are currently or have been available in the market are very complex. So people simply don't have enough time or expertise to actually use them to its full potential. So it has become a great issue. Two is lack of marketing strategy. We all need planning. We all need to know where we're going to, what are our objectives, because obviously at the end of the day is the results that count. So, before jumping on the marketing automation, race, you need to know that what your objectives are and if marketing automation is actually the best solution for your business. The next one is about data. A lot of companies use data that's legacy data that they've been collecting for many years. We have a lot of various data sources, and at times it's very hard to integrate them and obviously improve the data quality. And for many marketers, this has been a great issue and something that wouldn't be letting them overcome the barrier of entering the marketing automation. Next is obviously the employee skills. So the complex systems that we were seeing in the past, and and those challenges with the data, with the integration of your online channels, it was very hard to dedicate time, money, and resource to do, lengthy trainings and, see how marketing automation can work for the business. So businesses simply were not doing it. Last, but not least, the marketing automation platforms that first adapted the technology were really expensive. And when you combine that with complexity, the issues are huge, and small and medium businesses just simply couldn't afford advanced solutions. Well, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we here at GetResponse have been working for the past months, even years, and to try to help you overcome those barriers. Well, first of all, our marketing automation is based on a very simple if-then logic. So first you pick your condition that you want your audience to meet, and then you simply take actions following those conditions. In the meantime, you can apply filters for even better targeting. Workflows that you can create within marketing automation, they don't have to be complex. So even if you don't feel, if you're not feeling 100% comfortable with automation, even if you haven't tried it in the past, you don't need to spend weeks and months planning it ahead. You can start off with very small workflows that address very easy objectives, and then whenever you feel you're ready to take it to the next level, you can simply go back and grow them. So, we can call our automation system agile, growing with the business. Sorry. Then we have that set of tools that we have created within marketing automation that help us and you create very specific conditions and actions that are showing you where you can actually pinpoint and target your audience to start the one-to-one dialogue. So we've created a set of conditions, actions and filters that you can easily apply to pretty much match them with any of your objectives. Later on, Abby will show you exactly how they work. Last but not least, obviously, is at the competitive pricing structure. We know how hard it is, a huge investment behind the automation. So we've decided that our automation tools are going to be inclusive of all GetResponse packages. And depending on the package that you have, you will have a different set of tools. We will soon be launching more tools that will be addressing things like web traffic tracking, cart abandonment, and much more advanced segmentation. So be on the lookout. We will be letting you know, and we're only weeks apart of those great additions. We've also created a dedicated team of marketing automation experts. So whenever you find it difficult or you're having any trouble setting up your first workflow or working on the workflows in general, you can always schedule a call with the experts, and they can always help you build your workflows. Those calls obviously are free for all our customers. Now I'm going to hand over to Abby, and she's going to show you how marketing automation works in real life.
Thank you very much, Magda. And here we are back again here with Abby. And so as Magda promised, I'm going to show you guys how to actually build some workflows right within a GetResponse account. So let me get that going here, and I'm actually going to share my screen. So give me just a couple seconds to get that launched. And I'm going to go through 5 different workflows, and we're going to start from simple going to more complex. So that way you can see, how to create some really simple, fairly basic workflows and then get a bit more complex as we get going. And so let's get started with the first workflow. And I am going to utilize this scenario that we are going to be promoting a webinar, which of course we're on a webinar right now. And you guys know that we had to promote this a little bit to get some people to actually show up. So let's do that now. So I'm going to start this workflow and just name it really quickly. It's called a pre-webinar promo. And I want to start this workflow with the condition of opens a message. Because once I create and publish this workflow, I'm going to, of course, be sending out an invitation to my list for my upcoming webinar. Let's say it's a week away or so. And so I want to go ahead and first create this workflow and get that going. So I need to check, or I will be needing to check, of course, once it's sent out, if someone has actually opened up this webinar invite. And I'm going to be checking for about a day and a half after they've actually received this message if they've opened it. We can assume that after that amount of time, everyone who was going to open that message will have opened it. Naturally, after checking if someone has opened the message, I want to check, did they actually click the registration link within the webinar so I can see if they actually are going to come or not. So I've drug over the link clicked condition here. And within properties, I'm going to define it even further by specifying the specific link. So pretend with me that facebook.com is, of course, an appropriate registration link for someone to click. And yet again, I'm going to wait for about a day and a half once someone has received the message for them to click it, assuming within that time, everyone who will click will have done so within that time. And now here we've created this positive path, this kind of channel here. So those that have opened and clicked have achieved our goal of, we can say, registering for our webinar. And let's say, of course, all of you would be using the great GetResponse webinars that you're seeing in action now. So they'll be automatically reminded of the webinar that's coming up using those automated reminders you would set up to send them a reminder a couple of days before and then maybe an hour or so before the webinar. So that's going to be handled, before the webinar is happening within the webinar platform itself. So we're actually done with these people who have done what we need them to do. But now for those who haven't opened or clicked just yet, this kind of negative actions here, we want to actually wait. So I'm going to use the delay filter, connect it both to these negative connection points here, and I'm going to wait a day and a half. Common theme you see with me waiting. And then I'm going to send them a reminder. It's a great idea not to just, give up after one message. Let's go ahead, choose yet again the action of send message from the actions menu and choose our reminder. And just one more time, I bet you know what I'm going to do. You guys are going to get so familiar with this process by the end of this. I'm going to check yet again if someone opened up that reminder. So we need to choose the specific webinar. Oh, sorry, you guys, don't be like me. We need to check something else. So did they open the proper message? So see, if you make a mistake, just delete it and start again. So we're going to actually see if they clicked or opened my reminder message, yet again giving them a day and a half to do so. And one more time, did they click the registration link in my reminder? So checking that again really quickly. Reminder, pretending this is the proper link for a registration and giving them yet another day and a half. So these people here have also achieved what these folks did here at the beginning. They're registered, so we're done with them. They'll be reminded about the webinar. So one more time, we could say we're going to wait a day for those non-openers and clickers again. And then maybe you'll guess what I'm going to do. I'm going to send them one final reminder just to give them the utmost chance of joining me. So I'm done with building this workflow. You can see that's simple, right? It makes sense. We checking if they opened an invite. And if they did and they clicked that or the reminder, they're coming, they'll be reminded about the webinar automatically so they don't forget. Those who didn't click or open initially or within the reminder, we're going to wait and then send them another reminder. So we're done, and this is actually quite simple. But one thing I'm going to do before I save and publish is go right here in the settings, and this is pretty important. It's fine for this workflow to start immediately because I'm about to, we can say, go send out my invite so we can get this process going. But it's important that we end this particular workflow on the day of my webinar so that this workflow and the actions included in it do not continue past my webinar. So let's just say the webinar is going to be on June 9th at 6 p.m. So I want to make sure this workflow ends at 5:30 about. So let's say it's going to end there. So that way, no one is being tracked for having opened my invite past the time that the webinar is actually started. So that's what's important here. So click OK, save and publish. And just like that, nice workflow, we've created our first workflow for our pre-webinar campaign. So we're leaving it to our webinar platform to keep engaging with these people who have registered for our webinar with reminders to not forget to join. So now I want to create a workflow all about post-webinar engagement. So you know how we promised you guys to send a recording after this webinar? Of course, we'd like to do the same for these hypothetical subscribers. So I'm going to create another workflow. And I'll just call this one post-webinar, just for making it quick. And I am going to actually start this workflow with the condition of subscribes. And over here in properties, I want to specify the subscription method as being a webinar, and then specify it further as my specific welcome new customers webinar that I've got going on. And this condition will include everyone who registered or attended my event. So you can be sure that everyone who's kind of engaged with this webinar is going to be included in this recap. And so I'm going to go ahead and send them a message after the webinar. So moving over that action for send message and specifying it here that it's going to be my post-webinar recording and recap. So I'm going to send them a recording and some other kind of helpful educational information, maybe a couple downloads. Maybe they want to download my presentation deck, things like that. So I'm going to check yet again, did they open this recap webinar message that I sent out? So it's going to be, whoops, again, I chose the wrong one. So did they open it? And giving them, again, a day and a half or so for us to be checking if they did open it. And you're going to see my logic here going quite similarly a lot of times. Did they click the link? It could be any link. In this example, I don't care if they clicked a specific link, but I want to know, did they click a specific message in this one? So any link from a specific message, because I mentioned that I included several links in this recording and recap. So people are going to have a day and a half. And remember, I keep choosing this default, but you could choose 3 days, 4 days, whatever you want. But a day and a half is kind of our research time for when people are going to usually take action within that time. So let's say if they did click anything in that one, I'm going to give them a tag of active. So tagging, as you'll come to know, is of course a great way to start keeping track of your subscribers and how they're, engaging or, behaving with your messages or, within your marketing campaign. This is also a place where you could choose to utilize scoring. If you wanted to utilize scoring and start assigning scores for different opens and clicks, this is a great opportunity. For example, if you're going to use scoring in your marketing goals or your plan, you could start giving people a score of, let's say, 10 points for having engaged with this particular message. But for this example, I'm just going to utilize tagging. And so something really quick to do with this negative channel here, those who didn't open and click, I'm going to give them their own tag. So connecting these negative paths to this one tag, and I want to identify them as a webinar only lead. They only engage with the webinar itself, so I need to tag them as that because they didn't actually engage with the message afterward. And I'm going to actually utilize the action of move to campaign and move them to a campaign that I have set up specifically for re-engaging with such leads that come up. So I'll add them into the autoresponder cycle I have for that campaign or not. In this example, let's say that I am. And now, yet again, here's a very simple workflow that I've created. There's not that many elements included, not that many branches. But before we're done, we want to yet again go into the settings for the workflow. And here where it's important is to dictate when this workflow should start. Because this workflow should not actually start until after your webinar has actually been held. So remember I said we'll start it on June 9th. So let's say that I want this recap to go out the next day at about 8 a.m. We could say like that. So this is when this will be initiated for those who are associated with the webinar that I specified, and they're going to get that mailing and start this workflow the next day at 8 a.m. We could say that it's going to end, let's just say a couple of days after the webinar. And so we'll specify that, save and publish. And yet another workflow is set up in our account and ready to start working whenever people start meeting the conditions that I set within it. So we've got a pre and post webinar campaigns all set to go. So I'm going to change gears now and change our kind of the scenario and thought process and start working on a campaign all about welcoming new customers. This could be a nice kind of generic campaign to think of as a way to start engaging with people who are signing up for your mailing list. So yet again, create another workflow. And I am going to start this workflow. Well, let's name it first. So this is, remember, welcome customers. And I am going to start this one again with the subscribed. And then I'm going to specify in properties that this is going to apply once, of course, this workflow is published to anyone who signs up via my specific homepage signups form that I have already created. So once this workflow is published, as soon as people start signing up from this particular form, they're going to be, flowing through this workflow. And so once someone signs up, I want to immediately send them a welcome message. You know that's a great idea to do. So I'm going to go ahead and send them, let me find it, of course, welcome email. I'm going to send them a welcome email. And I'd love to poll you guys and see what you think I'm going to do next, because I bet you would guess that it's going to be checking if they opened it. So did they open this message? Specific. Again, I'm giving them my old standard day and a half to see if they opened it. And then let's see if they clicked it. And now something I should say about this. Let's pretend that this welcome email I sent had 2 links included in it. The first link that I included in this message was for people to specify that they want to receive updates from me every 7 days, once a week. The second link was for people who wanted to receive updates or mailings from me every 2 weeks. So I need to be checking on those 2 links so I know people can go in the right place within the account. So if they opened it, I'm going to check, did they click that first link? So we need to choose a specific link from a specific message. And pretending that facebook.com is actually our please send me mailings once a week link. And again, checking for a day and a half. If they did click that first link for once a week contact, I'm going to move them to a campaign that I already have set up in my account exclusively for people to receive updates every 7 days. Also add them to the autoresponder cycle, and they will begin receiving updates every 7 days. So those who did not click that first link, I need to check, okay, did they click the second link? So checking again, adding that condition of link clicked and connecting it to that negative connector. So did they click the second link that I included in the welcome email? Pretending that this particular link here is indicating receiving messages every 2 weeks and dictating to check for a day and a half. So if they did click that link, I'm going to yet again move them into the appropriate campaign. So the action moved to campaign, in properties choosing my 14-day updates, adding them into the cycle so that they are going to begin receiving their requested updates every 2 weeks. And now we have this negative channel here, these people who didn't open or click. And I want to just wait a day. It's good to give some people some breathing room if they haven't engaged just yet. So you could wait a day, wait 2 days, wait 3 days, whatever you kind of feel would be right for your list. And then let's go ahead. So you can see how cool it is that you can actually connect 2 negative connectors to one particular delay or action. So I'm going to connect then the action of sending a message to this delay. It's going to be a reminder, engaging with them, seeing what's up with them. And if they don't actually open, so let's check if they open the reminders. Remember, they never opened or clicked initially anyways. So I need to check, did they open the reminder? And if they didn't, I'm going to assign them a tag because they are obviously inactive. And then I'm going to move them into a re-engagement campaign. So they signed up via my web form, so it seems like they're interested, but they're not engaging with my messages. And so I need to add them into a re-engagement campaign and check in with them, see what's going on. Now, if you wanted to, you could continue this workflow, because let's say you included in the reminder the 2 links initially to choose 7 or 14-day contact. You could continue checking those 2 links here from this branch, but I don't want to take too much of your guys' time today. So I am going to stop it here in this example. But you could, of course, keep the workflow going right here, checking the links if they opened it, and then adding them into the appropriate campaigns. So here is a pretty simple but a nice way to, start welcoming your subscribers getting them in the right place and kind of engaging and checking in with those who aren't initially, engaging is the word of the day with your messages. So I'm going to save and publish this one as well. Oh, see, you guys caught me. Look, I didn't assign that tag that I promised I was going to tag them as inactive. So look, this is real life. So let's go to properties because I forgot to do that. Again, don't be like me. So I forgot to give them that tag I promised as inactive. So remember, they didn't open the reminder, they get an inactive tag, and then we're moving them to the campaign. So thanks very much, Marketing Automation, for catching that mistake. I'm saving and publishing it. Nice workflow. Now, changing gears again, the next type of workflow we're going to look at is like a promo campaign. So let's say you're going to send out a big promotional offer, and you want to kind of check on the engagement with that offer with it, reward people who are actually kind of engaging, and then maybe remind those who aren't. So let's go ahead and just call this one promo. And I am going to start again with the very common condition of, did they open my message? So I want to specify that it's going to be this big promotional mailing I'm planning. So it's going to be this one right here. Let's say this is a big promotional mailing I've got. So I'm going to check after I send the message for about a day and a half. I'm not checking, of course, Marketing Automation is checking for me. For a day and a half after it's sent, did they actually open it? So, kind of logically, the openers and non-openers are going to get appropriate tags that I want to make sure I'm keeping track of. So openers, of course, are going to be tagged as active and non-openers as inactive. Now I'm going to move forward further with those who are a bit more active, because I want to see, did they click any of the links in that message? And again, I don't care if they clicked a specific link this time. I just want to know, did they click any? Because I included a few in those. So let's say any link from a specific message. Whoops, see, I chose the wrong one. Did they click any link? And they have yet again a day and a half after receiving it to try it. And so what I want to do here is actually give them another tag, because you can see how we can actually give people more than one tag. They're going to now have the additional tag of being engaged. And to further increase like the hype with my message, we could say that in this promotional mailing, I included some information that the first 100 of my subscribers that click a link in it are going to get an exclusive discount from me. And the next 100 clickers are going to get kind of an exclusive download, maybe some kind of ebook, let's say. So to achieve that, I'm actually going to utilize the filter called range, connect it to my tag here, and in the properties, I'm going to specify my range. So the first 100 clickers, and then the 101st to 200 clickers are going to get what I promised them in the mailing. So I'm going to send a message to the first 100 clickers with that exclusive discount immediately. So they'll see, oh, I clicked, and as promised, here is that awesome discount. And the next folks who were the next batch of clickers, I'm going to send them that promised ebook immediately once they've actually clicked. So we can say it was this one. So that's pretty nice. It's a neat way to do that, create some competition there, get some people clicking. But now for those who didn't actually end up clicking, I need to also give them a tag. And so far, we're tagging everyone really well, so let's keep that going, because the people who didn't open are inactive. The people who didn't click are going to be active, not engaged. And so for both of these guys, inactive and active, not engaged, I'm going to go ahead and wait a day, give them a little time. And then I'm just going to send them a specific message, check in with them, see what's up, see if I can get them to start engaging with me. And then here's kind of something that's a little bit interesting, a different way to think about doing things. I'm going to yet again delay, but I'm going to delay 30 days. So the reason I want to do that is kind of for the element of surprise, because after 30 days, I want to then send them that kind of big discount that I provide the initial clickers, just as a way to kind of surprise them. You could keep this workflow going as well as you wanted. Again, I'm not going to keep you guys here all day showing you how far you can go, but you could continue this workflow to actually check who actually ended up engaging with that offer 30 days later. because I want you to start thinking that your workflows can be long-term endeavors. They don't have to just be these really quick things like pre and post webinar campaigns, but something that you keep on long going. So it started with a promotional email, but then you're still kind of testing and engaging with your subscribers 30 days after that to see if you can kind of get them to start engaging with you even when they weren't initially. So this is an example of the promo campaign. Again, still pretty simple, but we're kind of expanding our minds here a little bit with what we can do. And so thank you guys for sticking with me. We have one more cool workflow to show you with the pretty applicable topic of a win-back campaign, because we all want to try as hard as we can to win back those subscribers who aren't really engaged with us before we might, think about removing them from our account. So I'm going to create the final workflow for a win-back campaign. So let's call this one win back. And I'm going to start this yet again with did someone open a message, but a little bit differently this time. I'm going to see if they opened any message at all from me for 30 days. So remember, automation cannot work backwards. So it's important that I create this workflow first, save and publish it, and from there the counter will start to see if anyone is opening any newsletter that I'm sending out from my account within the next 30 days. And so, quite similar as we've been doing, we're going to be tagging anyone that ended up opening any of my newsletters within this given time as active, and those that did not as inactive. Because it's, of course, important to be keeping track of this and tagging folks so you can keep up with them properly. And now I want to send a particular message to those who do end up clicking, or opening, excuse me, of my newsletters. I'm going to send them a specific message that I have dedicated just for this particular purpose. And again, I'm going to check if they clicked a link, and I'm going to do that because I included in my message another little competitive structure, something to really tempt people to start engaging, is that the first 100 clickers in that message, and this is going to be a specific link, going to get my discount, my promotion, whatever it is you're prepared to offer them as, a cool deal. Maybe you're going to send them something really neat or give them a discount or something. So I'm going to use this final filter we've not used yet called amount. So as you can see, it could be only the first person to do this. You can make this like a cool contest kind of thing. But I'm going to say the first 100 subscribers who clicked the specific link are going to then immediately get my really cool promotion offer, discount, whatever you want to offer them. And so then for those who didn't actually click, I'm going to, again, wait a bit of time so I'm not really kind of fatiguing them because they didn't click initially. So I'm going to give them a bit of time, and then I'm going to send them a specific message, checking in with them because I know they should be fairly interested because they did open one of my newsletters, but they didn't open and click this one in particular. And so I want to send them a specific mailing to not engaged message. And now we've got something to think about for these inactive guys, these people who never even ended up opening any of my messages. So something that I want to do is I need to move them to a new campaign. And I bet you know what it's going to be called. It's going to be called a re-engagement campaign because I need to check in with them, make sure they still actually want to be hearing from me and be on my list. List hygiene is very important. So keeping up with these active and inactive contacts, re-engaging with them, but then actually doing something about it is important for the quality and health of your list long term. So I'm adding them into an autoresponder cycle I have in this re-engagement campaign because it's got lots of, good educational information. It's checking in with them and, of course, making sure they actually want to receive messages from me. And it's important that I see if they actually opened any of the messages, any of these autoresponders in this re-engagement campaign. So moving again the condition of message open, and in properties specifying, did they open any autoresponder? And if they did not open it, they need one final tag, which is a tag I'm going to call remove, because it is now time to remove these contacts. We've tried, they haven't opened in 30 days, and then we added them to these autoresponders. And again, I forgot to do this here. We're going to give them another 30 days within that autoresponder cycle to be clicking any links, or opening any of those autoresponders. And if they're not doing it, we need to assign them this tag of remove and go ahead and go back and remove them from our account. Yet again, you could keep this workflow going with this positive, did they open a message You could then remove a tag. I'll show you that just really quickly because I haven't done that yet. Showing you how you can remove that tag of inactive that they got. And then let's say you could move them back into an original campaign because they opened a message, they're back interested. We can move them back into, let's say, my original campaign, but not into an autoresponder cycle, let's say, but they're back on my list because they did actually end up opening, showing some enthusiasm for my messages. So here is a fairly simple version, but in a more complex way, I could say, of a win-back campaign. So checking if people have opened within 30 days, kind of rewarding those who are, reminding those who haven't exactly engaged that much, and then people who are totally inactive, probably thinking about in the end just removing them from your account for the sake of your list hygiene. So saving and publishing again, you guys have made it through 5 whole workflows, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point because we have made it to the promised section of some Q&A sections. And so we're going to have a look and see if you guys got any questions for us and do our best to answer them. Maybe you come up with some as we've been going. Okay, I've just gotten some cool information that we're actually going to go back into the account and go through a little bit more slowly. I understand that. Some conditions and actions specifically. So let me do this again where I want to share my screen again. I had closed it. So while I was blabbing along, I see some of you wanted to see just a bit more info about that. So that's understandable. So I'm going to go back into a workflow and I'll talk a bit more about it. The nuts and the bolts and all the conditions in action. So I'm just going to start here just for that. So as you can see, while I was working and building those different workflows, that I was operating first from this element section. All of these are called elements. And usually, of course, you're going to be starting your workflows with conditions. So a common one I used was subscribed. So this, the condition of some type of subscription via maybe it's a form or it's a landing page, or I use the example of a webinar. And then if it's some kind of specific form or landing page or webinar, that would meet this condition that you've set up. So for example, you also saw me a lot choosing the condition of message opened. Did they open a specific newsletter from me, a specific autoresponder? Did they open any of my newsletters, any of my autoresponders? How about some, A/B test messages I had set it up? Or, again, any newsletter. So that's how that works. So this can be conditions that, I started with. Did they subscribe some specific way? Did they open some specific message or any of them? What about link clicked? Did they click any link specifically? Remember you saw me choose some specifically. Maybe just did they click any link at any time? That may be some condition you want to start with. You can also do it if score. I talked a little bit about scoring. I know I didn't go too deep into it, but maybe you've decided for your marketing goals to actually use scoring as a way to, you want to count every open for 5 points, you want to count every click as 10 points or something. And this is some way that you're going to start kind of grading and scoring your subscribers and their engagement. So you could start a workflow or, include in any place in the workflow some condition that they have some type of score. Maybe you want to somehow target everyone who has a score of 100 because you've been, scoring people for a little while. Or you want to meet some condition that you want to be talking to any subscribers that have a score of more than 50 and give them some reward, for being such a, good, valuable subscriber. Or if they have a tag. And so you want to, be targeting people who have a specific tag. Now remember, because right now automation is only working forward. So it's important that you remember to publish these workflows first, get them set up, and then it's going to notice when people start getting these tags. Okay, so that's kind of something to remember, is it can't right now look backwards to see do they have a tag, but looking forward, who starts getting tags. So this is kind of a way to go through the conditions and kind of give you a little bit more about what they mean. The actions are kind of straightforward. I think you can see that you can send people messages, copy them to campaigns, move them to campaign, and you can also be tagging and scoring them. So you want to have an action happen based on some condition that maybe has been met or member has not been met, because you've got your yes no conditions like here. So some action would have to do with positive actions, so if they did do this thing or they didn't. And then again, like we kind of mentioned earlier, the filters are going to just be to really, specify even further, which of your subscribers are going to be targeted with it specifically. And so, like I used the range filter where you could, range your subscribers and maybe give them different offers, or, you could almost run your own kind of A/B test, we could say, and, specific ranges of subscribers would get some type of version of your message. We use the delay filter a lot because, it's a good idea to not just blast people with too many mailings and fatigue your list. So you could set some delays. I was doing 1.5 days a lot, but also doing it for a whole month before I started engaging with them again. And then there was that really neat amount filter, which is a cool way to do some contests. The first subscriber gets it, the first 30 subscribers get it. And so that's going through them like this. So let me take another minute. Okay, guys, and so that was me going through all of those remaining kind of actions and conditions more specifically. So I'm going to hand it back to Magda, who you saw at the beginning, and she's going to answer any remaining questions we've got. So thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, Abby, and welcome back. Well, we see a lot of questions going, so hopefully we'll manage to answer all of those. If you still have any doubts or any further, help will be required, please don't hesitate to contact us either via Twitter or our support team. Now, going back to the questions, we have one of our listeners today asking about the API calls. Well, it's actually a question that we hear quite commonly. A lot of our customers are asking about it. They can be easily implemented. So currently, whenever you are using any of our integrations or APIs, we do have an option in the conditions that you can start your automation for anyone who signs up via the API. And we are currently working on getting it to work on also for specific campaigns. Now moving to next question. Well, we're looking at sorry, just going through those. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the point system again. So the scoring system, every time your subscriber does or doesn't do something that you'd like them to do, like, for example, interaction with your communication, opening or not opening the email, signing up to the webinar, and whatever you specify as your goal, you can freely assign or remove the points from each individual subscriber. What it means is that, for example, if someone has been engaging with all your communications for a long time, you can see that they actually earn a lot of points. What it means is those people are really valuable to you as your customers, and you can actually expect to get more out of that engagement. While on the other hand side, you can also try to see and look for people who have been continuously losing points, because it means that those people's engagement is declining. And for those people, you can try to create win-back campaigns, re-engagement campaigns, and so on. The scoring system is really good when looking at your customers over time, and in your subscriber history, you do get scoring history per subscriber as they progress with your database. There's another one about making the newsletter before creating a workflow. The way the workflows work is they kind of map out the communication plan that you want to create. Even if you don't have your newsletter drafts ready or in place, you can still go into the workflow, create your own map without attaching the newsletters. The elements that will not be attached will be grayed out. Then you can always save and exit without publishing. And then based on the plan that you've created in the automation, you can create relevant newsletter or email drafts. And then always go back to your workflow and attach them the minute you're ready to start your communication. Looking at some more questions. Okay, there's a really good question about each subscriber entering each workflow only once. So imagine a situation where you assign points to your subscriber for signing up to your newsletter, and you start a workflow with a condition that says if number of points is 5, then send a message. Each of your subscribers, based on their actions, could potentially achieve that number of points many times during the week, month, or during your communication cycle. So to avoid sending out duplicate messages, we've created we've blocked the option for each subscriber to enter the same workflow more than just once. So for example, if you want to re-engage with someone, you either attach a new message to the same workflow or create a totally new workflow. Looking further at the comments, okay, when do we expect the next release update? I like this one. I'm waiting for it myself. Well, I got the information today that it will all be available within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we will definitely keep you posted on this, and we will be sending out updates and making updates on our social media. So simply follow us and wait. And wait for the signal. We hope that they will all be available sooner than those 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, exciting. Okay, looking through some more questions now. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, Tony asked the question whether the workflows are universal across all campaigns, and this is a very good question because in general, automation is not connected to a specific campaign. So basically, when you set a condition like did subscriber open any message, what it means is that the automation will be checking through all of your campaigns to check if subscribers interact with your messages. Obviously, each of the messages that you have in your account is usually created within a campaign. So when you are being specific about the messages or the conditions and use the conditions that are tied to specific campaigns, you can obviously that way make sure that the workflows only work for a specific campaign. Also, as you can see in actions, there's 2 really great actions that can help you copy and move your customers to different campaigns. So on one hand side, no, we're not tied to the campaigns. So if you don't like dividing your list to individual campaigns, you don't have to use automation. Tagging and scoring will let you segment your database in a very nice way. But if you do like segmenting in a way of creating different campaigns, then our automation can obviously support it. Okay, there's another one from Tony about the issue of filtering out the non-openers. This one Abby actually mentioned when we were creating the workflows. Right now, with automation, it's very easy to actually set a separate flow to those. Okay, looking through more. Um, Okay, this one's interesting one. We need to remember that GetResponse automation is working forward, so it's waiting for an action to occur. So if you wanted to work with your subscribers and create a segment based on a campaign, what you do is first you think of a workflow that you want to create, and then you go back to your search contacts in manage contacts, the drop-down menu, and you can search for all the contacts within a certain campaign, and once you get the results, you can choose in actions an option to assign them a tag. That way, you can actually assign one tag to all people from one particular campaign. And what's also really interesting is that every tag can actually have a name that corresponds with your campaign name. That way, you can easily create segments based on your existing campaigns. Looking at some more. Okay, here's a question about mobile. So at the moment, we're not allowing you to send text messages within the automation workflows. Obviously, it's an ongoing, evolving product. So, who knows, maybe sooner rather than later, we will have that option. Okay, Franz asked about web traffic tracking and whether it's similar as Facebook pixels. Well, in a way, yes. So we will be giving our customers a pixel based on which they will be able to track your own customer behavior and track the URLs that they visit. So we're really looking forward to that feature because it sounds really cool. Okay, we only have a couple of minutes until the end of this webinar. We do realize that there might be some questions that were left unanswered. We will do our best to go through all of those and make sure that when you receive a webinar recording, we add all the relevant pieces to our FAQ section, and always obviously remember that if there's still some other issues or questions, our support team and our marketing and automation experts are here to help you. On behalf of myself and Abby, I would like to thank you very much for participating, for all your questions, and well, wish you the good rest of the day. Thanks. Bye.